less, and not below 110. So usually I try to hit 118 pretty accurately, and I just let those go longer. So on those I'll let them go 18 hours instead of 12, for instance, because I want those to go ahead, I want the enzymes to still exactly be developed, the sugars to be developed, and then go ahead and lock it in. Have I tasted a difference? No. Do I believe there's a difference? It might be a placebo effect, but I believe there is a difference. So again, there's a big movement, and there's a lot available out in the marketplace online about dehydrating at 118 to keep your foods in a little bit more of a living type situation. So, and again, on your herbs, you want to watch your temperatures on those as well, because you can totally dry those to the point that they will not function. So on those, I do those at 118 as well, because I want them to still be living. All right, sorry to be so long.
I just want to ask a question about safety.
Yes.
How do you reliably measure the moisture content in the reactor?
Okay, wonderful.
Because you want to drive the water out of it. Because I know for dry packing, for beans, I've read it somewhere between 12 and 15% is safe for long-term storage. Anything higher than that, you can have problems.
Right. Dehydrating in the method that I use will take between 95 and 96% of the moisture out. So anything less than 10% can be pretty stable. I want it to go as dry as it can go. So again, unless I want something chewy and I'm going to be using it, I want my bananas for long-term storage to sound like that. How you know it's done is you want to pull it out and you want to plink it on the counter, and if it goes plink, plink, and sounds like it does, and again, it doesn't matter what countertop. I have people email me, I have a granite countertop, will it plink on my countertop? Yes, it will plink on your countertop. You can plink on your kid's head, they'll probably plink, yeah. So, so on that, you just want, and so for me on corn, I just drop a couple on the counter. If they pink, you know, you're good. So, because that's how, and again, for me, good enough once it plinks, for me, good enough. But if you're still concerned, let it go a little bit longer. So where Sherry's like, I'm never sure if it's enough. I'm never sure. Once you plink, you're guaranteed that it's between 96 to 97% moisture gone. If you want to run it just for 2 or 3 more hours, good. So, but pears can be a little deceiving because they won't sound really loud like corn does, but it will still plink. So if you're a knock, okay, because I know you do a lot of pears. So, okay.
Pears is like candy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Why do you have to always blanch corn?
Just so that outer shell in the corn will actually soften down, so that way when it rehydrates, the moisture can actually get in. So it's just like when you boil it on the front end. Why do we do that? You boil it for 10 minutes on the cob so you can actually bite it and not take your teeth out. So
it's not for safety purposes?
I don't think on corn it is, but maybe if there are farmers in here who, if anyone knows that, I don't think there's a safety problem if you eat corn off the cob like that.
Can you just dry it on the cob?
Sure. Sure.
Well, just because
I still like to boil it and then hang it and dry it and then strip it off and use it for whatever. So
because it makes because when you cut those things off,
Right.
they're not as pretty as
right. Yes.
Send them a grub for
I was just going to say the one thing that we found, the tool that we found the most useful for dehydrating is a mandolin slicer. You can go through an apple in seconds. Just boom, boom, boom.
Wonderful.
Same with bananas.
So I use this pretty much for pears, apples, whatever. I use this, and this is actually a fully manual meat slicer. Oh yeah. I do all my cucumbers. I do everything. And I mean, my kids are over there like, yeah, I'm like, earning your computer time. Isn't that great? You crank that wheel for 10 minutes, you get to be on my computer for 5 minutes. See how this works? And they're like, when, and I'm like, whew, whew, whew. So I like everything to be uniform because then it dries more uniformly across.
You know what
exactly.
when I say the mandolin,
yes.
the ones that
yes.
those are perfect for
They're
that.
wonderful because anything that you can use is going to help you. You know, some people don't like their kids to use those because they're a little, if you're an adult, you're good. I love it because, again, you control how thick or how thin you want something. I love that. And then the more thin something is, the faster it'll dehydrate, the thicker it is, the longer. So again, where I'm taking those bananas and I'm doing that additional slice, they just want me to go a little faster. So, yes.
I've been worried about some of the really high water content fruits and vegetables, like cucumbers, for example. And rehydrating those, do you do?
I don't do a lot of cucumbers. It depends on what you're using them for. Again, there's some things that are just not going to bounce back.
Melons and stuff, I guess.
I do melons all the time. Watermelons, but we actually eat them dehydrated. Like candy, love them.
So you're not rehydrating them.
If I'm going to put them in something, you're never going to rehydrate all those and have this beautiful fruit salad that looks like you just picked out of the garden. If you don't mind it being a fruit salad that you're mixing stuff into, you want to mask it a little bit. If you're able to get like a little bit of your concoction of homemade whipped cream and you want to roll it in there, not a problem. You want to bake it in a cake, not a problem. But on fruits like those, especially melons, eat them, it's like candy. You wait till that watermelon is almost dead, where it just looks like it's creepy, nobody wants to eat it.
When it's
Slice
mealy,
it up. Oh
if you
yeah.
cut up a mealy one,
Slice it up, throw it in, because all those sugars have developed, and it's so sweet. So,
So on the cucumbers, do you eat those like cucumber chips, like the banana chips, or are they not?
I don't usually do cucumbers. So cucumbers are one of the things that I've never found a way to have it bounce back that I can be okay with it. I love them raw. I don't usually even make it on it. So they come out of our garden and we're just like, so on that I just don't do it. If you had a specific recipe that you were going to cook it into or use for something special, probably that, you know, a stew, you want to throw some cucumbers in there, not a problem. But otherwise, it just never looks the same. So. Good. Let's see. So I choose to use these containers so that way if it falls down it doesn't break, but you can use anything to store this in. You can use Tupperware containers. You can use anything you want to use depending on what you want, how you want to store it. You can put everything in a food saver and just simply have a filing system where you just know, here's all my apples, here's all this, and just have them in buckets that you pull out, file back. That's how I do it. I have it just like a filing system. And so I love that. And I just have my little buckets downstairs, the little lid on top. I just pop it open, pull out what I want, use it. Yes.
Do you have any idea in your pantry how many jars you have
I have 144.
in your pantry?
However,
because you rotate all the time.
Correct. But what I also use them for besides just this, because it's probably only about 36 of them, fruits and vegetables. The other ones, anytime you open a number 10 can, you have to use it within a certain period of time or everything in there's dead. I hate that because then you don't ever want to use your food storage, but yeah, we're supposed to rotate it. So you have this like conundrum on rotate your food storage. Well, yeah, how? So I dump a quart's worth in a quart jar and I use out of it. Powdered eggs, I use them in cookies all the time because they're pasteurized. You can eat the cookie dough, no one's gonna die. I love that. My kids dip in the brownie mix, I have a happy day. I don't care. That way too, I'm not having to run to the store to buy milk and eggs, which you know if you go in there, it's a $40 milk and egg, one jug, one thing, and everything else. So I don't go to the store like that because my budget, I do not like that. It makes me crazy. I feel terrible at the end of the week. I don't want those numbers, so I don't go. I use powdered eggs for everything. Now if I'm using them in an omelet, I do like to do half real eggs, half powdered eggs, because you can use all powdered eggs. But to me, that's good for an emergency or camping. I'll deal with, they get a little spongier. I like it to still be a little bit more robust, so I do half and half. But I just like using it. So anytime I get a number 10 can, dump a quart's worth in, I bag everything else in quart amounts or in 1 cup amounts down. So let's say I open up everything of cornstarch. I may not even use a quart of cornstarch in 10 years. It'll still keep with an oxygen absorber for a long period of time. I just go ahead and dump those in 1 cup increments. And so I may keep that in a smaller container, like a size
How do you keep
container.
your oxygen absorbers?
I do this. As soon as I get the package of them, I just put them straight into a mason jar, and I do use glass for that. That's one thing I do use glass for because these, you'll notice on some of these, if they're not totally full, they will crunch a little bit at the bottom, but they bounce back. Because I'm stuffing so many of them in there, I do them like this. And then that way when this goes down, I know that they're all protected, and I know I'm not going to blow these up before I need to use them. I just get 2 of these. The pack at the church distribution center is 100 oxygen absorbers for 12 or 13 bucks. So on there we have them broken down in smaller amounts. So if you want to try this out and buy them, and again, if you want the Mylar bags, let me know that you only want 10 or 20 to try stuff out, and I'll just charge you costs for that stuff because that's I don't do this. I do this solely for fun. So yes.
Okay, so just to clarify, then, on like the sweet potato fries or the casserole, you bake it, then you dehydrate it.
Correct.
Then when you rehydrate something that normally you would bake, you add your water, and are you doing it on the stove top or back in the oven?
It depends on what you want to do. I usually do everything on the stove top. So what I'm going to do is
So
on
what about the
these.
fries? Do you do those back on the
I
stove
do.
top?
I do. I just boil them in water just like you do potatoes. Originally, I just throw them on in there, let them
And they're
boil,
not soggy.
and they just bounce back. It depends on how much humidity is going on outside and how long they've been and what their state. If there were some kind of old ones that I kind of cut up, if they're super fresh, they usually bounce right back. But what I want to do is I put them on a baking sheet, put them right back in the oven to crisp back up. So for a toaster oven, same thing. I fill this with water only to the very, very top edge of however much I have in there. So let's say I have a cup and a half in here, I do a cup and a half of water. That's usually what I do. If you're doing something you want to make, let's say I have this 2 more people joined our campfire, and now we're having cowboy stew.